Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Ross Medina, the State Manager for ACS in Queensland, and today we've got Fiona Foley from the Royal Flying Doctors Service. Getting Techy with it. It's a new webinar series with us that we're doing for Fiona throughout this year. I realised Fiona's passion for technology a few months ago, and I thought this would be a phenomenal way to spread the message to our members. Getting Techy with it is a new series which offers a really independent overview of emerging, creative, useful and unique technologies, and is intended to educate our members on the latest innovations and emerging technologies. Just note, we don't endorse any products or services that we mention. This is really just an informative overview and Fiona's personal opinion, and it's all around current technologies. On the webinar screen down below, you'll have a Q&A button. Please feel free to use this throughout the webinar, as we'll be asking questions, and this is very interactive, so feel free to ask what you like. I'll pass over to Fiona, and if you could just briefly start by giving us a bit on your background there, Fiona.
Okay, thanks Ross, that's just great. Good to see everybody or hear everybody. Yeah, I'm Fiona Foley at the moment I'm the IT Executive for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. I've been in tech for a very long time. I started actually in pure mathematics and science technology, worked through many mining companies, food companies, also worked for Parmalat, BHP, those sorts of companies. So over the years, I've come across an awful lot of technology, and now at the Royal Flying Doctor Service, it's interesting for me to be able to take all of that wealth of knowledge and actually put it into a not-for-profit. So it's quite interesting for me to be able to give back, I suppose, a bit to the community with my technology passion, as Ross says. But for me, I just wanted to sort of share with you some of the current things that I've been looking at, but also to give a really strong message that I think in IT these days, that our IT leaders, and I think all the way through the people even in you in IT, if you have a real passion for technology and you really want to make technology useful for your customers, that if you show that passion, it really is very much appreciated within business, and it also makes things a lot more fun. So the first question for me, and I've seen a lot of it in the press recently, is how techy does a technology manager need to be? And I may be a little controversial here because I know that there's lots of ways to become leaders in businesses, but I think if you're a technology manager, you need to be mega techy, in my view. That being said, it needs to be practical. However, I still think that you have to have a passion for technology. It doesn't matter what type of technology, I think, but it's actually that passion that rubs off. So I think absolutely that we need to all have a percentage, I think, of our propeller hats or being a bit geeky, and I think that actually stands us all in good stead to bring all of our users with us. So one of the things that also people talk about is, do you need to be techy to be able to lead a technical team? And again, I still think that it helps, because if you can actually contribute to the conversations and the strategies of what your teams are doing, and your users, of course, I think that it makes it just much faster and much easier. Not saying that you have to have the machine language history that I have in technology, but I think that you need to be keeping ahead of what's going on in the marketplace. One of the things also that I talk about probably quite often is that when you see different vendors offering services and technology these days, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think. Some of them are really great technology advocates, really strong technology, but there's a part of the industry where some of the technology out there is maybe not well thought through, and sometimes being sold around by people who don't have that core technology base. So I think that's another thing for us we need to be savvy enough to know whether the technology that we're being presented is actually got that solid base or not. Interesting, I'm going just exactly where I need to be. That solid technical basis has to be an absolute given. Some of this techie stuff on the top of it is great and fun and makes a difference with businesses, but you still have to have that solid base. So I think you need that strong grounding in the basics, and then put the fun, cool tech on top. Not saying that the underneath stuff isn't really fun too for people who work in networks and all that sort of thing, but it's really important that it's really solid. One of the other things I went to the other day, a Telstra seminar, they got somebody up who was talking about the new workforce in technology and how the millennials now see the role, the time of the role of their individual jobs only being about 18 months. So people are looking at changing roles so often now that I think it's important that technology keeps pace with how the workforce is as well. And for us, we have to be really mindful of that. Plus, of course, that means people are rotating in with new ideas all the time. So you need to be right ahead of it. And that sort of goes to the crux of my counsel to everybody today, I suppose, is that we have our users and customers now have a large amount of technology know-how from home or other businesses or where they came from. So they're quite sophisticated users now, and we need to listen to them a lot because they often come with great ideas either from home or from other companies, but also we need to become a trusted techie business partner. So we have to show and prove to them that we actually know what we're talking about, which means I think, in my view, you have to be visibly techie. I think that goes to your credibility in the trust in the business. So like, you know, I could sit in my office all day and direct traffic of, you know, the technology that's going on and be really solid. But the things that's most beneficial to me is when our senior guys, or actually anyone in the business, just rings me up with a new idea, or they see me with a new phone, or they see me using a new piece of technology. They don't know how to use something, so I help them out. So that visibility of being techie, I think, is actually a good thing. I know some people think that you want to hide it. I think we should celebrate it.
Yeah, definitely. And I've got a question actually that's really related to that. How can you encourage staff that are non-technical to adopt new technology?
Okay, beautiful question. I think that it's to do with the team and getting that excitement within the team. Actually have some new pieces of equipment about on the tables, in the rooms. We used to do, even when we were in remote areas, we used to go to the local J car or somewhere like that on a road trip, and let's go and just have a look and buy some stuff. You know, it might have cost me $100 every 2 months, but we got out of the office and we went and bought some stuff. When you're in town here or overseas, you can have even better IT techie road trips. But I tell you what, you get that excitement. We had users who wanted to come in and come on our little techie road trip. So I think it's making sure you have the equipment there. Webinars are great. I think encouraging your team to take the time to actually get online during the day and actually learn something about a new piece of technology. And the other thing is, don't be frightened of letting them install stuff and having a go at it. I think we don't want to be the no department. Can't hear you, Ross.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah. So again, with the solid base, you have to have that solid base, but we don't want to be the no department. I have so many times struggled when I come into a business that's got technology issues, and just the fact that I'd sit and listen and actually be a little bit techie. And look, I have a really nice phone. It's really blingy, and I replace it every 6 months, and everybody gets excited about, you know, oh, what's your new phone? You know, I might have a new headset. I might bring in my VR glasses, or all these sorts of things are what I bring in and encourage the teams to actually interact with. So we become the experts and the go-to people, rather than what happens if we don't do that and are visible like that. What happens is other vendors or somebody's friend or something else becomes the expert, and then all of these opinions come in that may or may not work within our environment. So I actually like to go overboard with we're really techie, and but it comes with a really great dose of fun. I think you need to have all the gadgets and things. Now, you still have to know underneath how it works, because you can't just bring a gadget in. You need to actually know how it works as well. So it's fun to do that assessment and analysis of these things to know what's going on. Look, the ACS brand helps a lot too, because that gives you that credibility. too. So like my business knows that I do this sort of stuff, and they see that sort of thing, and those conversations being really credible conversations, even though it's in a techie world. So some of the things I thought I'd talk to you about what we're actually been up to. Maybe some of the basic stuff first that some companies are frightened of. Bring your own device. I know there's a lot of companies still talking about it, still writing policies, all that sort of stuff. For us, I just wrote a policy and our guys love it. They absolutely love it. Some people love their home personal phone. They used to carry, the doctors used to carry around 2 or 3 phones. They just loved it with the fact that they could bring their own phone, put the stuff on it, and then put their emails on it nice and secure. So what we do is we do the background work to make sure it's secure and let the guys go for their lives. So they love that. We still provide phones where they're needed, but you know, I even have to support Macs, and that's really challenging for me. I'm a Android and Windows person, but you know, we have to be a bit multilingual, I suppose. That's a good point though, the multilingual bit for all the techies out there as well. I think we're actually really good at being multilingual because we need to know so many different programming languages and technologies. I think that actually we are actually really, really good at that. So if there's a business needs and has challenges, they need to actually think about their IT people as being some of the most flexible people in the business. So now people come to me when they're talking about business change because they know that I'm a person who can change gears really quickly because we have to.
Yeah.
I'll also be really controversial now. This business here, we when my team gets together and brainstorms, we create absolute chaos because we've been around for a while. We know where the risks and things are, so we actually do very radical things who some of our business partners actually think we're bonkers. We don't have an SOE. I decided I was so sick of doing SOE rollouts, new PC rollouts, and I said, look, I just don't like doing them. So we just don't. We take a perfectly lovely branded laptop out of a factory, put a little tiny light touch on it, everything's web-based, and then go. So I never ever have to do another SOE rollout in my entire life. So that's sort of
happy about that. And I've got a question actually that's aligned with that. Talking on business, is it possible and how would you approach aligning IT with the general business?
I think that you have to get that baseline solid technology working, because whatever engagement you have, if they can't print and they can't remotely log on, I think you have to get your back house in order. And then I think it's all about being shown to be so proactive. Get in there with the business people, get in their environment, you know, get into the front line. Example, when I was at Parmalat, you go on the road with a salesman for a couple of days. That's the best way for you to learn about the business. But guess what? You get a bit of a reputation for somebody who actually listens, which is awesome. For me, I go probably overboard. We have now, I've just coined a new term for our business today after last night. We have an elite private IT parliament of wise owls. That was coined last night because if some of our important business people, it may not be senior people, it might be our really important, our doctors who are on call for retrievals, that sort of person, if they have an IT problem, they just call me. They text me or call me and they find me. And I know that, yeah, that's not my job to do all that sort of thing. We have help desks and all that sort of thing. And look, I don't want to undermine that, but hey, that trust comes back to me 50-fold. But yeah, we've just there's an elite group. Anybody can actually be in the group. They just have to, you know, be part of the passionate, you know, people to deliver our services. So the elite private IT parliament of wise owls, and everybody wants to be part of it. So brand yourself. Great. Brand yourself and your tech. The other thing is be open. So don't be the no department. If somebody wants to install a new piece of software, first be really solid to know what you already have in your portfolio. So if they need to do something, ask them the question rather than just saying no or whatever, or doing it. You say, what do you need to do? What's it for? Perhaps I've got something already that works. That's really good. If not, you think, oh, we've got actually a bit of a gap in our portfolio. How about you be our tester for us and ask them to provide some feedback? So yes, I'll do this for you and install this for you, make sure it's licensed, but then I expect back from them some feedback to see how that would fit in our portfolio. So it's about that conversation. I really seriously want to put gamification somewhere into our teamwork. And that's probably one I'm struggling with, so open to anybody who's got some experience. I've been to a couple of seminars, which is really awesome. But I don't know, maybe we have gamification because we go on techie road trips to the tech shop and have new phones and fun things. I don't know, but I'd like to get a bit of competition in there. Other things that you have to be so in front of, because the users will come at us knowing half of it. They will have a friend or a brother or a husband or a sister who knows these things, or they've been to a seminar and the sales guy says you have to have this. So things that we have to be in at the moment, we're all over, is things like the software as a service and the cloud platforms, in particular for us, Azure and AWS. But you can't just read about it. You have to immerse yourself in it. So we have one of our guys who knows how to do it. So he does a session with us and he'll actually teach us how to do it. How do you put a server up in AWS? What does it cost? What sort do you want? You know, I have my own server that's just for me, that I put whatever stuff I want on it. I'm a business intelligence freak. So guess what? It's got the latest and greatest Microsoft BI on it. And I play with it all the time. The business loves it because it's infectious. One of my other guys has a Ubuntu server because that's his preference. So for your team, give them an environment that's, you know, is innovative, and you'd be surprised how much stuff. Our Ubuntu servers now are just doing such great things with our security and monitoring. It's just extraordinary. Also doing stuff with the Elastic searches in AWS as well. We've got a lot of data that we want to analyse. Well, we could go through all this big palaver about, you know, looking for vendors and whatever. We just whacked an Elastic search up in AWS because we thought, oh, we know that this stuff's sort of out there. We just put it in and let's see what happens. And I reckon we've probably at the moment got about a 70 or 80% hit rate of using the stuff that we put in, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Interesting, another quote that I read during the research for this was, the most interesting innovations is when a user uses technology in the way we had not planned to use it. So you have to put it and be practical, put it in their hands, even if it's not quite right. I think that's okay. I think that's quite okay. Or bring them with you. Also, a lot of stuff out there at the moment about shadow IT. I actually embrace it in a strange sort of way. I wrap my arms around it. You need to know about it, and if you're being the policeman, they'll put it underground and never tell you about it. So be really open about it, be inquisitive about it, and then you eventually will be able to be part of it. So yeah, I think that's the way that I like to approach it, because they know I'm techie and my team's techie. So if it's a positive conversation, go for it. Another part that is more from my own personal, like I also have a geeky personal piece as well, is to look at new things that are coming. I particularly, some of the resources that I use, I'm always out there on the parts of the deep web because it's not mainstream. There's things like one thing that I saw on some crowdfunding stuff last week is a thing called Gollum. What a great idea. And I know that people will sort of think it's a bit strange, but everybody probably has spare computer power somewhere. You know, I'm paying for heaps of it, right? This Gollum will let people sort of pay you to use your spare computing power when it's not being used. I know you can go all the way to AWS and only use it on demand, but yeah, this is for sort of the people who've already done the capital investment. So I thought, oh, that's cool. Don't know whether it'll be relevant to us or not, but I think it's important I understand where it's going. Some of the other things, last night that I actually had a bit of a thought, now I'll go and get something brand new, that I actually investigated last night, because I'm on this all the time looking at what's out there. There's a thing called Gorilla Beam, which is a handheld projector, so I'd encourage people to have a crack at that. Very likely for me to go out and put us in for getting one when it's available, because I think that'd be great. Another thing called Paperino, an e-paper with an accelerometer. It looks like that you can put digital stuff on paper without a battery. It just fascinated me. Okay, Snickerdoodle, a palm-sized Linux computer. I've got some of my team who just think that was just the best thing in the world. So why not? I think you have to choose which rabbit hole you go down. And for me, when they were talking before about the team, get the team members to sort of have their own little sort of focus area so they can bring back to the team, so they can feel really owning it. Yeah. So the other thing that I am, and I think always will be, is an app junkie. You know that, Ross. It just can't help myself. And so I thought I'd share some of that for you.
Yeah,
that's turned into a lot of things, though. A lot of those apps and things at times go into businesses. Has anybody ever got too many cards in your wallet? There's a thing called STO card that I absolutely love. Yeah, a lot of people didn't even put it on when it started. Said, oh, it's hosted in Germany and it's not secure. Yeah, well, if somebody can see my, I don't put my bank accounts or anything on it, but if they can see my Miller's card, rewards card, I don't really care. So you have to be sort of balance those things. The other thing is I'm always on the beta programs for all of the major pieces of equipment. So Microsoft beta program, Google beta program, all of those things, I'm into it all the time. It means often a lot of my technology is in disarray. My poor children never know whether the computer's going to be working or not, or what version it is. They had no idea what Edge was, and they had no choice because I took everything else off it except Edge, just because I couldn't use anything else. I wanted to immerse myself in it. But I do that at work as well. At work, I have a PC that I just put Edge on. I thought, I'm going to have to immerse myself in it. What is it going to do and what not do? Now I know exactly what it can do and what it can't do. So really important. So for me, web browsers, another really good thing. I actually don't mind which one. So we put 4 or 5 on the SO, well, not SO, on our computers, we put 4 or 5 on it. So though, if you ever talk to some about my users, they always say that Big Sister's always watching, because I don't do any of this without something like Manage Engine to absolutely control what's going on these computers, and the visibility of the assets to me is critical. So I might let them do what they want to do, though the endpoints will always be secure, the internet will always be secure, and I have that visibility, so I know exactly who's doing what. So yeah, Big Sister is watching, and they think that's quite funny too. So you have to have a bit of a joke with it. Another thing, just little things that are going on. The mobile phones, and this is maybe really controversial. I get mobile phones that aren't the traditional ones, but I have to do a lot of research about the mobile phone bans. Like with Telstra and band 28, there's not many phones around, but you can actually really get, at a party, somebody's always quite interested in, they've always got needing a mobile phone and whatever, and I'm the go-to person as to what's really good. And yeah, so that's a bit of fun. I don't know whether I say that, I'm a Pokemon Go trainer extraordinaire too, so, I embrace that. Now, there is a reason for that. I do have a passion for gaming anyway, and I'm a bit addicted to it. But with Pokemon itself, because I used to use Ingress, which is the company that Pokemon, the program that Niantic had to do the where all of the locations are. And I was just fascinated when I understood how many people are going to go live with this program, and how many servers and how much change that they're making regularly. It just fascinated me. How can they get all of these users all at the same time on this app? And it just absolutely still staggers me. A few bumps in the road, when they do upgrades. But for me, it's absolutely fascinating. You need to have a look at Ingress as well, and what they've done with where the actual locations and stuff are. The logistics of keeping that sort of stuff up to date, and also the GPS work that they're doing. What will happen is, no doubt, that the stuff that's happening in these games will become better technology for many things, because as you can imagine at the RFDS, locations and communication is absolutely critical to us. So I keep so close to it. I also have a few drones as well. I have a friend who's a specialist in these things, and I'm still struggling to fly it, but I just know that I need to be able to learn how to do it. I'm not going to be very good at it, I suppose, but I need to know how to do it. I need to know how the technology works, and then I need to know how it flies. I'm still struggling a bit how it's going to be practical but in real life, but we'll get there. So it's important for us to know that. Yeah, look, and part of the, keep the team interested. When I can fly my drone okay, I'll bring it in, the little baby one, bring it into the office and skirt it around, and it'll create a bit of a buzz, like I did with the VR glasses when I brought them in. Lots of fun. Couple of other apps. This one here's a little bit of put a note down. Apps that I'm finding quite interesting at the moment. There's one called Curb that'll find you a parking spot that somebody might have at their house that's available in your area. Isn't that cool? You want to go to the football or to a restaurant, you can get some park in somebody's yard. I reckon that's cool.
Yeah.
There's another one for the rev heads. I used to work for a Japanese car company, so a battery company, so I'm into that too. We have 6 cars at the moment, and Valiant chargers were our passion. But there's an app called McLaren 570S, and that actually does a 3D thing of the McLaren cars. It is just ridiculous. You do it on a piece of paper. You print out a piece of paper, and you put your phone with this app, and it shows you it in 3D. You can open the doors and everything. That technology is going to be so useful for so many things. But yeah, why not? We can get something on my phone here that's leading edge from McLaren. How has the world changed? When I started in IT, there was no internet. And if I needed to go to work, one of the innovations after a while was that I could dial in. It was actually quicker for me to get in the car and drive to work. But anyway, we dialed in. Okay, there's another thing called Sensor Box for Android. Now, I found that on my phone because I must have had an idea that I wanted to look at it. So that's work in progress. Still got no idea, but I have a little area that I keep these things that are interesting. And none of the really funny little things. There's an app called Smart Measure that I use heaps. Have you ever been somewhere and you want to measure something? Yeah, why not use your phone? Keyboards, another really interesting thing from a user point of view. If you introduce technology and talk to people about technology and make it really, really personal, you will get a totally different conversation. Ergonomics and keyboards and people's laptops and desktops, it's their own personal space, and we invade that regularly, and you need to be very mindful of that. So what the keyboard is, we need to know about ergonomics. People come to us to understand. And if I'm going around somewhere and somebody's sort of hunched over, I'll actually get their screen and make sure it's at the right height, because I know how they should be set up. So I think it's not just the techie things, but it's also the things that people, it's very personal space now. So I use a keyboard, and I've used it for a very long time, and I absolutely love it because you can actually text with 2 thumbs. It's called SwiftKey, and it's just awesome. And then there's a new one in Brisbane that's called Wonder Walks, where somebody curates a walk for you, so you get a little bit of exercise too. So that's my little list, and I always, as Ross knows, I always have a little list of interesting apps that I'm finding fascinating, and most of them are odd rabbit holes, but you'd be surprised how many of them have some sort of application in business. So I've been talking for a long time now, and I know it's a little bit all over the place, but I think you need to proudly wear your propeller hat, and every now and then I'll bring mine in, and immerse yourself in technology and make a buzz around you and your team where your users just want to be part of it. And guess what? Then you're a very effective change agent, I think, in a business. So this is what Ross saw. He sees all this chaos and things. It does have an end. It does have a purpose ultimately.
No, look, and this is fantastic, and it's it's new content for the members, and I've actually got quite a few questions and different.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, we'll just ask a few, and then we can keep going. Someone works for a non-for-profit and wanted to know how to handle implementing a new system in a cost-effective way, and how to get buy-in from C-level.
Okay, well, I actually work for C-levels and sometimes a part of it, so first I can talk from both ends. You have to know really clearly about what your business currently has. You need to know exactly what it's costing you, so you need to actually do a bit of groundwork about what it's costing you, because most businesses don't know what these systems and unintegrated systems, I assume, are like that. So know your stuff there, and then also know the pain points for the business. So go out there, talk to users, and they'll give you the top 5 or 6 things that they are. So then what you do then is just present to them what it's actually costing the business. And you'd be surprised how many executive teams actually, because it's all dispersed, wouldn't know how much it is. So that means then you give them the nugget that, hey, this is costing us a lot and it's actually not controlled. And then you added the next bit saying, okay, well, I actually can help you with these sorts of things. You need to also, now this is big opinion stuff here, this is a little bit radical. I think that just going out and shopping for integrated systems or big systems is difficult. I've done it, been part of it a lot. I think that there's a disconnect between the offerings of some of our software vendors and the actual end users, and sometimes you might need a broker in there, or sometimes you need somebody who's actually been there and done it. You need somebody who's done the hard yards rather than just talking to the salesman and the vendors. I think you need that piece in the middle. So selling that into your executives, I think, is good, because then you're not bringing in salesmen, you're actually talking to them about change. The other thing is, I wouldn't put a system in unless it actually had return on investment and a business benefit well articulated. But yeah, do your homework, and they'd be surprised how much money they're spending in IT when they don't know. And then you get the budget.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. That's great. And what would you say is the most popular programmer language in Australia right now?
Oh, okay.
There's some different ones coming through, so this is great.
Oh, well, I'm interested in other people's opinions. Look, I'm actually a bit of I'll program in anything really, and it doesn't really worry me so much. I was just interested in the new Microsoft platform. I thought that their studio might be good, but I think for me, the bits that I look for in particular is platforms that can take code and then distribute it in many ways. So for me, HTML5 is important. Exactly which varieties of things, not so much. It's more about getting yourself, writing an app just for Apple, and then it struggles to get to the others. So I think it's the open source, open code things as well. And yeah, I'm keen to do more programming, really. I love it. I do a lot of database stuff with SQL Server as well, so I do a lot of coding there, so basic SQL of any variety. And for me, everything should be web-based and a big database engine that well structured underneath. Happy days, as long as you can make sure that it works on any ordinary web browser. So they're my bits.
Yeah, great. And as new and groundbreaking technologies are coming into market, how do you think they should be encouraged to be used in the workplace, specifically when your management and boss potentially are not ready for the change to change current technology?
You do it little bit by little bit, and you just get that excitement going. So you introduce it anyway. Like we have my team, we have a server each of it, whatever variety we want, and we can just play with it, and it turns into stuff. So I think you put little bits, whatever your approval levels, or find somebody who's got an approval level for just a little bit, and get a little bit, and just put it in there, and then show people how it works. So I think I've done lots of strategy presentations, board levels and that sort of thing. You have to make it real for them. So for me, I actually show them. I'll do a prototype, or actually I don't usually do prototypes anymore. I actually build the real thing and just don't necessarily roll it out. It's just already there. We get the back end right, and then give them little snippets. Try and highlight some people who have a bit of a either have a real problem that you know you can help with, or people who have a bit of a bent for something innovative.
Fantastic.
You have to show them.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic advice. And in the next decade, AI, will look to change the world in many areas. Do you know who are the top players in Australia in the AI space at the moment, from your perspective?
Look, that's something I haven't really done a lot with. I did see something from Telstra yesterday, where they are, it probably might be secret, I don't know. Anyway, in that, Telstra certainly in that space are working on, most of the vendors have actually got a new department that's related to these sorts of things. But I think it's really early days. So I probably am not sure. It's not something that I keep really up to date with, but I need to put that on my list for next month so that I can answer that question for myself.
Yeah,
and so, guys, send me some details if you've got some ideas about how to immerse myself in that. I did go to uni with a lot of people who did lots of that sort of stuff. Fuzzy logic way back then, if anybody I'm showing my ancientness, but it is quite interesting to work through. I did see somebody sent me a picture of one of the new robots too. It was one of the Japanese ones that was too. They were saying it was too real. I prefer a machine, like I've done a lot of work on process control. I prefer a machine that looks like a machine. People are starting to get worried about the fact that it actually looks like a person and it's artificially intelligent. People get worried about it, but if you don't make it look like a person, they're less worried. So that was just a conversation that I had earlier.
Wow.
So yeah, not my specialty, but I think I need to know more about it.
Excellent. Well, something to look forward to next month. And what's the significance of nanotechnology, and do you know the scope of this in the future?
It depends, I suppose, what you want to define with the nanotechnology, because it means just really small. The bits that I've seen of everything getting smaller and smaller and smaller, I suppose. The bit that fascinates me is I know that they're starting to do things where the nanotechnology actually gets in the bloodstream and that sort of thing, and being able to do monitoring and that sort of stuff actually inside people rather than not. What other things did I see the other week? It was about using it in swarms so that it'll do some monitoring. I think it was related to weather and that sort of thing, that it did it in a swarm so that it get an awful lot of results and everything to send back for analysis rather than not. So I know that one for me, again, it's a fascinating area. I haven't had much to do with it, but another area that I think is really important. So nanotechnology, we need to put these on the list.
No, this is great. Yeah, we'll get some more information.
Absolutely.
And anyone, please feel free to send some feedback on areas that might be of interest, and we'll discuss those with Fiona for future webinars. Let's see. Okay. What do you see the future of future for some businesses to merge to cloud? And I know cloud's been around for a while now, and it's still a bit of a discussion. What are your thoughts, and where do you see it in the market at the moment?
I think you just have to embrace it. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm into it big time. Yeah, Nirvana for me is just a web browser to access anything. I don't have to own any of the technology, and I just have a vendor who knows their product, taking the middleman out of it, where you have a business and you just go with the software vendor who actually doesn't have to talk to the hardware vendor and say your hardware's not performing well, it's your software not performing. I don't have to do that at all. Big bonus. And so for me, then you end up in the challenges of when you have to have cloud vendors, software as a service, playing with each other. At the moment, they're playing really, really well for us. We've been cloud first for a very long time. Our board understands it. The future of it, I think that what you have to do as an IT person is make sure that your board and your leaders actually get it as to how much of a game changer it is. So much stuff we don't have to do anymore. It's all about the negotiation. It's all about the user value. It takes away the technology piece underneath. I just love technology also, that if you can do licensing is sort of still a bit patchy of different ways, but I like the, use it principle of, when you use it, you pay for it. That's really good. So, yeah, you have to be really careful though that you get the right business partners. We're not for profit, so of course we get really good pricing from some of the vendors, so that makes it even more attractive. But if you get the wrong software as a service vendor or whatever, you end up in a worse trouble. But I don't know, overall I've had so much more problems with on-prem owned technology rather than somebody who provides a service or things as a service. But yep, you have to become a really, really strong vendor manager. You have to have your KPIs and your monitoring and measuring so tight. I think also, right back to my first sort of sentences, you still need to know how it works, because otherwise they'll pull the wool over your eyes.
Yeah.
But I'm into it. We do it here, absolutely.
And I think, it's really important to understand that when you do a significant change like that, you need to look at what business processes and how you can change your business function as well. A lot of people just implement it and go, well, no, I'm not saving it to the hard drive now, I'm saving it to the cloud, where it makes, like you said, you can access it from anywhere. It makes you more mobile. It's a great tool. So how do you use that tool, like you're saying, to your maximum potential to get the most out of it?
There are some gotchas though that you have to have before you even think about it. Absolutely so solid. You have to have your security and your disaster recovery processes absolutely solid. No good if it just doesn't. Oh. Yeah. No good if it just doesn't. Sorry. No good if your software as a service, off you go. Yeah, all this sort of stuff, and then they have an outage and lose some data, and you think, oh. So you can't divest all your responsibilities at it. The other piece for me is your endpoint security has to be absolutely slick, because it's not you don't have the governance over the code or the processes. So that's why web-based, fairly generic for me is good.
Yeah. Okay, great. And is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, that was all the bits, but I'm keen for everybody to send us through ideas, because I've got a couple of really good ones. So I'm going to get my colleagues to give me some more info about AI and nanotechnology, that's for sure. Yeah.
And I've just actually, someone's asked for your recommendation of a couple of vendors potentially at that a reasonably costed, because they're quite new to Australia and just trying to get a bit of information. Do you know of anyone off the top of your head?
Vendors for what?
Well, it's just said vendors where I might be able to source information at a reasonable cost.
No, I just don't quite know what sort of scope of that one would be, but how about they send us, maybe they could send you through a bit more specifics, and I can respond specifically, because I'm really very vendor neutral. It's just all about my users and getting value.
Yeah.
I really don't care. Well, I don't. The business partnership's important. You have to have a vendor that really cares about you, absolutely. But then I'm not ever going to be linked to a particular brand other than my business brand.
Yeah, what's suitable for you. No, well, that's great. Look, Fiona, I think we'll wrap it up for today, and I've really appreciated your time. I hope everyone that's been listening enjoyed this first in the Gettin Techi with It series. We'll keep developing this over the coming months, and if there's any particular areas you'd like more information on, or any particular information in general, just let us know and we'd be happy to share that. So thanks everyone, and take care. Have a great week. We'll talk soon.
Bye. Bye-bye.